Good evening. Sorry, a minute or two late starting up. You're very welcome this evening to Bridges of Light show. Our show this evening is going to work on talking more about mediumship and what is actually what's involved, different aspects of mediumship. And then we're going to do a little exercise, which means that you're not just going to be sitting listening, you are going to be active in part of it. The exercise is relating to the follow-on of the meditation, so it's nothing too strenuous, and it's very much about your personal journey. Ciao to our Italian friends who may be joining us as the show goes on. It would be nice to see. I know it's difficult, all right, if there's a language barrier, but when it comes to the meditation, I do feel that you get involved in the process, and you don't really need an awful lot of direction with it, because it is something that is generic, and the mood takes you into that space where you can cut off and have your time. Because that's what meditation is about, blending with your own spirit, being aware of the energy that you are, the energy that is with you as well. We're going to talk first of all about mediumship in its deeper form. We talk at times about trance work and physical mediumship. Now, physical mediumship, of course, has a lot of connotations as far as people are thinking in terms of spirits going to materialise here in front of me. Hi, Paul, lovely to see you here. It's physical mediumship is where there's a very deep blending with spirit, with your guides, and then with the spirit world. We have very few physical mediumships, really, because for a number of reasons it is a situation where people are quite afraid of anything that they can't explain or can't be explained to them. So that's part of the reason that people tend to steer away from even developing physical mediumship. It takes a long time to actually sit and blend with your spirit team to be able to come to a point where you're going to work with spirit. One of the main ways of working with spirit when you've fully developed into physical mediumship is through the production of ectoplasm. So that we'll talk about in a little while. But the preamble to all of that is that you sit in the power. And sitting in the power means that you blend in with your guides, you blend in with the spirit energy that's there. Generally you would sit with sitters, and I know in today's mediumship world, it's slightly different to old school, but I still prefer old school. The old school method was that the group would sit together for one medium to develop their mediumistic ability in the physical aspect. Today it's difficult to get, I suppose, people time-wise and all that goes with that find it difficult to commit. But I know one physical medium who has been sitting for years and years before her mediumship actually evolved into physical. You can have the physical medium that works through the power then of healing, which their healing guide basically comes forward. Physical mediumship will be seen by everyone that's present. It's not just solely in the mind of the medium, and that's important to actually to highlight, because on many occasions I've seen where people have thought that the person that they were sitting with was actually developing physical mediumship. But there's a lot of things happen when we sit in the power. Sometimes the energy comes very close to us, and we end up having, we'll say, it looks like it changes shape, but more often than not, it is our own energy that's doing that through physical muscles. Because there can be that it's the very early stages of working with your guides. When you think in terms of fine-tuning any skill, it's not done overnight. So there's people who think that it's easy to get into. It's anything but. It is commitment on a level that's based in time, that it is the same time that you're going to work at, that it is the energy needs to be built in a room as well. It's just not in that you sit maybe one place this week and somewhere else next week. It's better to be in the same energy, because if you think of we've talked in the past about energy and how tangible it can be when you walk into a room maybe where we feel there's anger or different emotions going on. If you think in terms of that, what you're doing with the spirit world, you're taking them into environments that is just not as conducive as it would be in the same area. So generally what happens is the sitter sits in the same room, the same place, everything following through in the same way, so that when it comes to developing that power that's there, it starts to manifest much easier, because everything, and it's much more easy to notice because it is there. You know that it wasn't there prior. So it's those type of conditions that actually helps the medium. One of the ways for starting to sit is to develop that is to get used to sitting in meditation. The meditation is a way of you separating from day-to-day life and allowing yourself to surrender to the work of your spirit team. I've seen, and I love the film Ghost, but it's anything but that type of work. What we do is we don't go into that possession taking over someone. It would be a bit scary, I feel. I don't think there'd be too many would want to sit in that. But what I have seen is where there's a lady called Jean Skinner, and ciao Giovanni, lovely to see you. Annie, Amy, how are you? You're very welcome. One of there was a medium called Jean Skinner. Jeanette was coming into my head, where she was able to manifest the. It wasn't so much the ectoplasm, but she actually could have overshadowing, where she would have a face appear in front of her, and it didn't matter where she was. There was very tight regulations imposed on demonstrating this type of mediumship. But Jean would have been sitting talking in the daylight, and she would have an image coming over her. Everyone in the present would see that image. And I remember I was at a workshop with her, and it wouldn't be my area at all, but went to the workshop anyway, just to explore and see what it was like. But afterwards we were standing, there was three of us, Jean, another lady and myself, were standing talking about someone that we knew who had passed over to the spirit world. And as Jean was talking about her, next thing, this overshadowing came over. She had this like a porcelain image that came over her face. Now, when that would happen with Jean in particular, she wouldn't be talking. I believe some mediums would be able to talk as well, but for Jean, it was the overshadowing. But that was in the middle of the day, daylight hours, whereas the SNU, the Spiritualist National Union, would impose the restrictions that it would have to be done within controlled conditions, where it was darkness and there was red light, and the positioning of the light was very important to make sure that there would be no shadowing created by the lighting. It would be in front of the face, and that it would be easy to see that if the image was appearing. And there was a reason behind that, because it stopped people saying that there was some kind of trickery going on. So it was really lovely to see that happening. But that's just one part of it. What you would have had as well, in the likes of a sitting where mediums sit for the development, and your guide in particular, that their task is to work with you to develop that. They would actually start to materialize, use substance called ectoplasm, where that would mold into the figure of sometimes a hand, sometimes a full body would appear. Very often, I feel it's the most often from what I've heard, is that they can produce voice boxes very easily. Well, much easier than a lot of other aspects, so that they were able to use their voices. Now their voices, hi Rosanna, you're welcome. Their voice, what would happen then, because of they would lack the vibrational effect from the ectoplasm, what they would do would be the circle that they would be working with would have a trumpet there, and the trumpet would be just a cone-shaped instrument, and they would attach, the spirit world would attach the voice box made of ectoplasm to that cone shape. The reason for that would be it would help to amplify the voice, so that there are things that you don't hear a lot about it, but I feel it's going on more in the quiet now than anything else, because it's a time where people, hi Kathia, you're welcome. It's something that we actually have, I feel mediums working away, we'll say the easiest way to stay underground without, it's not PC, but they're working in areas where they feel safe. Because the important thing about all of this work is that when you're working on a physical mediumship level, that the medium is safe, and in an environment that's safe for him or her to work. The reason being that the spirit world uses substance from the medium, and that substance, they know what they're doing. Hi Sylvia, you're very welcome. I only learned how to do this the last day I was on, so it's lovely to be able to interact. I mean, for anyone that's it's the waving back, because I'm only getting used to using this technology. But yeah, I forgot the trend of what I was saying. You're welcome. The ectoplasm that would be produced, the substance that the spirit world was able to extract from the medium, and that substance then would be used to formulate whatever the task was in hand. Let it be the voice box, let it be the hand, or the full embodiment. When that happens, what you have is the energy of the medium is literally out there in that ectoplasm. So it really is so important that they have the safety net, number one, of the anchors that's with them. There are people that's each side of them. And number two, that the environment is not going to be interrupted. That, I'll come to in a minute about a medium that something happened, but the ectoplasm is out there, and what's important when the seance is finished, that the ectoplasm is allowed to go back into the body of the medium at a normal pace. That it's not done suddenly. In back, there was a medium called Helen Duncan, who was a fantastic medium at physical materialization, and she literally, she was in a seance, and she was up in the 40s, 30s, 40s, and into the 50s. Mediumship was a blacklisted event, and the law was out to literally eradicate it. But when Helen had a seance, and she was producing the ectoplasm, but the place was raided by the police. And what happened then was the ectoplasm was back into her body very quickly, causing her severe burns. That in turn, in a few weeks, led to her passing over. So see how important it would be for the right circumstances, the right environment, and the right support is there. Not saying anything about the support that she had. It was the police that actually caused the problem. When this happens, or when we go back to the ectoplasm, the spirit world are able to look after you in the sense of what it is that they want to do with you. But in saying that, what really happens, I suppose, is left to the law of nature. Whatever will be, will be. But our mediums today, I feel, are a little bit wary of going down that path. But while I heard about a medium in Germany that is able to produce ectoplasm much quicker and a lot less sitting in the power to be able to produce it. So it's interesting. There are things happening, but a lot in the physical mediumship is underground. When I'm getting hoarse now, here's the gin. When we look and see what the value of it is, we actually see that it is the pure manifestation of a situation, and let it be something, an article that's reproduced, let it be a physical being that's an image that's reproduced. It's something that apparently you could shake hands, and the hand is as solid as if it was a person that you were shaking hands in human form. So it's my advice to you would be, read up on it. Anything you see, read up and explore it, because you wouldn't be here listening to me this evening. You wouldn't be here if you weren't interested in mediumship. So the bottom line of it is, explore, read everything you can get your hands on, accept what feels right. Don't automatically accept things just because it's written on paper, but it's something of what we're going to do in our meditation, is learning to actually know what is right, what's your spirit saying to you at a mental level or an emotional level. Because we have to function in day-to-day life, we actually find that our physical being is more controlled by our mental activity in day-to-day life. So this is why it's lovely to sit back and do a little meditation where we dedicate time to our spirit essence. When we see something that is so special and is so unique in form, it's really sad when we see it being distorted by stories. There is a thing comes to mind, like in where people talk about hauntings and talk about yes, there's molecular energy that can be entrapped in a building, but that's more the rarity than it is our day-to-day life. At night time, you find people automatically have a heightened sense of awareness and feel that spirit is active around them, when a lot of the times it's to do with noises that's in a building. That's a natural source of noise in radiators, in wood, in things like that. And anyone that's come to me over thinking that their homes are possessed, the first thing I would ask is, what is the makeup of the structure of your home? Is there central heating in it? Is it done through oil, water circulating? Is there a lot of timber in the house? Things like that will actually affect at night. You'll have shrinkage, the contraction of timber, the water, even when it's not on, how it works at times, making noise. And these are things that we have to be realistic with, and not automatically jump in and say it's spirit. I'd be a skeptic, a true blue skeptic, until I really explore. And when I explore the situation and find that there's no logical explanation, then I'll accept it. Yeah, Doubting Thomas. But that's who I am, and they've chose to work with me, so they know who I am and what works well with me. We're going to do a meditation tonight that is about learning to communicate with your guides. I know, going back to my own experience of it, when I started to meditate, it was nothing to do with mediumship, nothing at all. It was going back much further than that. And when I started first, I found there was a lot of things happening in it, and the way the mediumship developed was a bit later on, because I felt there was a time where it was I needed to take baby steps into it. I needed to have get the feeling first before the spirit world started to draw near with me. And I suppose the reality of that would be that if I got frightened of something that I couldn't understand in the meditation, it may have stopped me developing further. But it's important. One of the tips that I'd give you on developing your sensitivity and communication with your team, when you ask a question, because this, we have to use the mind to do that. When we ask the question, go with the first feeling that comes in. That first initial feeling or thought that comes into your mind is the spirit world communicating with you. Because once you start to ask, why is that, or where is it, or how is it, that's when your mind has jumped in. When you are truly blending with your spirit energy, there's nothing that they'll be there instantly with it. It's your spirit team that's there with you. So that's the most important factor to work with. So when we look and see that our mind gets involved, if you take it in a sense of a graph, you have the conscious mind, I would have showed it one way back in the beginning shows, but just to give you a little idea, those that wasn't present, is the conscious mind is just a very tiny part of our existence. Then we have the subconscious. So the subconscious stores all our experiences, and from that we develop our emotions. Our emotions develop from the minute we're born, because we respond and react to things that's happening around us, and that we're part of that story. If we think back in some years ago, when it was found in Romanian orphanages, there was that many children in them, that there was no interaction with people. So what the children just grew up to not expect anything. They were there literally expressionless, because they hadn't the experience of learning. What this all is stored in our subconscious. So when we go to look for answers, we go from our consciousness, this level that we're living here today. We go through the subconscious, and above, and the universal spirit energy that we have we're blended all in universal spirit. There's where the seat of our guides as such, not putting them way up there and us down here, but that's the spirit energy, that's the source of it. So when we go to we ask a question here in the physical, we ask a question, and what we're looking for is an answer from that universal energy, not from our emotional experiences that's there in the subconscious. Because if you think we've learned the experiences of our emotions of anger and frustration, just being aware. But I do always say anger is not a negative emotion. It's when it changes into rage, that's when it is a negative emotion. But these are the levels. There's fear. Fear is behind any negative energy that we experience. So that's all tied in to this level of subconsciousness. So we don't want an answer coming from there. We want an answer coming from above that, or I'm just using the term above, but from our conscious, from our universal energy. Now, when we experience the positive energies of love, that brings in understanding, acceptance, and it brings in that beautiful energy of wisdom. And the wisdom is our energy that we were born with, and at times, most of the time, we forgot that we had it. But that wisdom is there for us, and that's the beautiful energy that we can tap into, and that's there for us to actually work with. So what I'd say to you is that we're going to, the first part of what we're going to do is, I said on my last post, that if you have a sheet of paper and an A4 preferably, I'm not going to draw anything for you. All I want you to do first is to draw a circle. Now there will be things within the circle, so just not to have a tiny circle. If you have your sheet of paper and a pen or pencil, and just to draw a circle, I'll give you a moment to go and get the sheet of paper if you haven't got. It doesn't matter if it's written on, if it's it makes no difference if it's already written on, because this is just about it's about a journey about you. Okay, I'm taking it that you have your sheet of paper. Now, have that circle And within the circle, write your name. If I was writing my name, I'd write Bridie Hughes. So just the name that you're known by. Now, still within the circle, draw another circle. That circle may have to be elliptical because you mightn't have the room. I don't want you crossing into where your name is. And that circle is just going to be left empty for now. Because what I want you to do in your meditation is I want you to focus on what you need. Not what you want, what you need. And afterwards, just you'll come out of it with something for that circle, and not saying what it is at the minute. But just to focus, our meditation is going to be on what you're going to ask from the spirit world. So you're putting out the intention now that you're going to ask your guides and your helpers for something that you are actually in need of at this moment in time. And just let that radiate through your energy field, through your aura, and to link up into that universal energy, that source of love. Okay. Now sit comfortably in a chair that you're well supported on, that you feel that you're supported but not likely to fall asleep. It's not noddy time yet. Okay. And just take a few deep breaths. And just allow your breath to go down into your tummy, expanding the rib cage, expanding the abdomen. And with the outward breath, just allow any pressure, any areas of tension to leave with the outward breath. Just breathe deep down into the lower abdomen and being aware this is time to let go of any stress or tension. Okay. Now visualize yourself sitting on a chair out in the garden. Look around you and see the beautiful landscape garden. There's flowers all around. Colours. You listen to the birds singing, and you're aware of that lovely fresh energy that you feel at this moment in time, becoming at one with your surroundings. Just nice and relaxed. Just be aware that the flowers are all colours. And now find yourself drawn to one particular area of the garden. And as you go towards that area, just be aware of all the colours that's there in front of you. Beautiful flowers. And just breathe in the scent of those flowers. Finding yourself just full of that freshness, full of that beautiful scent. Look at the new buds of flowers that's waiting to flower and take on new beginnings. Now see where the fully blossomed flowers are, and just allow yourself to breathe in that magnificent energy that comes from the flowers. It's a free gift. Look at the magic of Mother Nature. Explore the petals and look at the center of the flower where it develops the seeds for continuation of life. Now choose one flower. It can be the bud or it can be the fully blossomed flower. And just take that flower now and sit in an area on the grass where you feel comfortable. That beautiful energy that you're able to absorb from Mother Nature. Now, as you sit there, just ask your guides for that question that you wanted to ask for help on. And just go with the first thought that comes into your mind. Just allow yourself just to breathe in the energy of Mother Nature. Now find yourself just in a place where you look around now and you see that there's an opening at the lower side of the garden. And now approach that opening, and you see a beach of sand, and you walk towards it. Beautiful golden sand. Just feel the warmth and that lovely feeling of being supported. Just walk down the beach. And as you walk down the beach, head towards the edge of the sea. With your flower in your hand, just stand at the edge of the ebbing tide and allow the sea water to flow over your feet. And now just step down and place the flower on the sea. Just allow it to sit on the water and watch it as it's being taken out on the sea. Allow that energy to go into that universal place of being. We now hand up that thought of what we actually were asking for help on. And we allow ourselves the time and place to listen to that answer that we received. We're walking back now towards the garden. Again, moving from the sand onto the grass and back to the chair where we're sitting. Now, as we sit on the chair, we thank our guides and helpers for joining us. We allow the space and the energy that we've experienced to come into our present world and to stay with us while we come back to the sheet of paper that you drew the circle on. just come into awareness of where you're sitting in your home, and be aware that you're going to write on that circle one word that can bring back the knowing of what that answer from your spirit team is. Just one word is all you need at this moment. Okay. That word is important to you, to actually stay with it and be aware of what the significance of it. There was more than likely more than one word, but as the one word is all you need for now to bring you into that space again. Looking at your piece of paper, when you wrote your name inside the circle, for those that wrote it in the middle, just a little bit of info on it. When you wrote it, if you wrote it across the middle of the circle, that energy that's there with you, you already have the answers to the question that you were asking, but you just haven't acknowledged that you have the answer. So accept within yourself that you already know what it is, that it's action that's needed. If you wrote your name in the upper half, it's time to actually take focus and be aware that you have choice. It's no one else's choice in the question that you're asking. It's a matter of you taking ownership of your question, and not of your answer, sorry. You taking ownership of the answers. That's the difficult thing at times to do, especially when you have asked for help and you feel that the answers is not helpful to you. Take time out to actually analyse what the answer is. There is only ourselves that can hold us back. We give power to other people to hold us back. When there's something we really want to do, there is nothing that we can't do. You're not going to jump off a cliff and expect to be saved, but in the context of the reality of a situation, that's when it's important to be aware of it. If you wrote your name at, we'll say, near the bottom of the circle, the answers, the situation has already been resolved. It is a little bit about the centre place. It has been grounded. The process is in place. The outcome may not always be what you want. That's the harder part sometimes to accept. But it is the outcome that's for you, that's meant to give you the path of growth. So in situations, especially when it's in a relationship, it's a matter of dealing with the core issues and not allowing those core issues to become, we'll say, out of focus. There's nothing going to go away on its own. Things has to be dealt with. So that's where, coming from the baseline, you're more likely to not see that you have the issues resolved and that you have the answers there, but you have. So get in tune with that and allow yourself the space to actually to blossom and to grow. That flower, for everyone, that flower is about allowing healing to take place. A flower is a short-lived situation. It blossoms for a length of time, and then it disperses its petals, the seeds dry, and reproduce. Our lives have situations in it that need the same. They are situations that will pass, but we need to look at it from the perspective of we're part of the story. We're actually part of it. Thank you, Kathy. I'm delighted you enjoyed it. And Sonia too. And where are we now? We had Gaetano and Sahar on they came in, they joined us there, and I didn't get a chance because we were in the meditation to welcome them. Meditation is something that's so important in your healing process. Our healing is something that we can work with. It's never like, personally, you can go to a healer. I went to a healer the other day, and I found it really, really lovely, and something that hi Julie and Salvatrice, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, and Patricia, ciao, and lovely to see you here. I think at times we actually need to go for healing, because it is about balancing, and Gaetano at the moment is over in Dubai, and from what I got a brief glimpse at yesterday evening, he's doing Reiki, and it is the energy that we can work with for healing. One of the things that was happening as I was in that meditation was aware of one of the group was actually quite emotional and was finding it difficult to actually put the question in place. That was the difficulty area. And it involved relationships, and sometimes we're afraid to put a question out there because of we don't want to hear the answers. But the situation always has to be addressed where there's answers needed. So I just say to you to be strong and not fear that you're alone, because when develop your relationship in meditation, that's when you get the strength coming in from the spirit world. It's the strength that you'll have during your during dealing with the situation, and also then the follow-on that is right for you. Life's about changes, and life sometimes doesn't give you the options to change the way you'd like to, but you find on reflection that the results are very different, and you do see where you got very strong as a result of changes that you made. Okay, is there any questions that anyone has that they'd like to write up in the little window at the bottom? Meditation is something that you will work with in your development. I feel development is something that's going to be across the board here, and there's so many that doesn't have the opportunity to develop, but there are good few situations now on board online rather than on board, in today's age, because we're not always able to travel due to family commitments, due to the just locality, that there's nothing in our area. So just explore circles, and then maybe talk to someone about it before joining maybe particular types of circles, because you nearly always need a sounding board to be able to get a bit of a feel, because when you start talking about situations, and you know, if you start talking about a particular circle and what you want from it, and what you feel is right, when you actually take it out of your mind, you're getting answers again. We're given answers all the time indirectly, but it's a lot easier to see what's right for you, and that is you know, one of the things I know in that people has said to me. They went to different groups and they found that group wasn't right for them, and they went to another group and they might have the same experience, but somewhere along the line there's something will take you to the group that's right for you, and that's all relevant to your journey. It's all learning. The group that wasn't right for you is learning, because my attitude is the best teachers are the teachers I don't want to replicate, because they showed me something I don't want to have in my work. So it's all the time talking outward about it with people that you feel you respect their opinion. We have, I'm just aware of time, thanking you. Thank you all for joining me, because without you, naturally, it wouldn't be happening. But thank you for giving your energy, because when you give your energy to the situation in a group, everyone's helping each other. It's a healing energy, and that's what mediumship is about. It's healing, not about glory or not about anything else. It's all about healing the grief, healing the hurt that's within us. That's where the strengths lie. In 2 weeks' time, I hope to be able to have the show on, because I'm over in England attending a workshop with Charlie Kelly. So my plan of action would be that I'd be able to do it from the hotel there, and we'll just we'll see how it goes, because I'll be able to find out anyway that the Wi-Fi system would be able to carry it. So apart from that, have a lovely weekend. Thank you all for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you. I still am in a promise of having guests on, and I'm still waiting for support here to go down that road, and I hope it'll be sooner rather than later. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy every bit of it, and I will see you soon. May all your journeys be in your guiding light.